6 months later, Zextar stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned GCS Unity, a joint council human vessel designed specifically for protection missions. He wore the uniform of a captain in the new Galactic Defense Corps, a military organization that had been created after the hegemony conspiracy was exposed. "Captain," Lieutenant Mordan called from his station, "we're receiving a distress signal from the mining operation at Wolf 359. "Details?" Zextar asked, walking to the tactical display. "3 unknown vessels attacking the mining platform. They match hegemony raider configurations." Zextar smiled grimly. "Marcus, are your people ready?" Marcus, who now served as the ship's strategic operations officer, nodded. "Fleet Delta is already moving to intercept. ETA 12 minutes. "And our new defensive systems?" "Fully operational," Emma reported from her expanded computer console. "All human and council technologies integrated and optimized." Tom, weapons. "Status?" "All systems green," Tom replied. "Mining platform conversion complete. We can defend ourselves and provide fire support." "Sarah, open a channel to the attackers." "Channel open, Captain." Zextar straightened his uniform and looked at the main screen. "Attention, hegemony vessels. This is Captain Zextar of the Galactic Defense Corps. You are attacking a legally protected operation. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The response came quickly. "This is Commander Vexdan of the Hegemony 4th Fleet. We do not recognize Council authority. Surrender your cargo or be destroyed." "I think there's been a misunderstanding, Commander," Zextar said calmly. "You see, things have changed since your last intelligence update. On cue, space around the Wolf 359 system came alive with ships, not just the human protection fleet, but vessels from a dozen different council member species, all working together, all equipped with integrated human council technology, all ready for war." "What is this?" Commander Vexdan's voice cracked slightly. "This is the new reality," Zextar replied. "The galaxy has learned some important lessons about cooperation. Commander, would you like to learn them too? Or would you prefer to become another cautionary tale?" The hegemony ships found themselves outnumbered 15-1 by a combined fleet that fought with perfect coordination. They had 3 choices: surrender, retreat, or die. They chose to retreat. After the brief engagement, Zextar found himself in the Unity's observation lounge with Marcus and the other human crew members. Through the large windows, they could see the mining operation continuing safely under the protection of the combined fleet. "I've been thinking," Zextar said, accepting a cup of human coffee from Tom, "about what you said 6 months ago, about backup." "What about it?" Marcus asked. "You were wrong," Zextar said with a smile. "You're not backup. You never were." "Oh?" "Backup implies that you only act when something goes wrong," Zextar explained. "But you were always there, always watching, always ready. You weren't backup. Crew, you were guardian angels," Sarah laughed. "I like that better than expendable crew." "The Council has learned a lot in the past 6 months," Zextar continued. "We've learned that technology alone doesn't make a species great. We've learned that cooperation is more powerful than competition. Most importantly, we've learned that sometimes the best way to show strength is to use it to protect others." "And what happens now?" Jake asked. "Now we build something better," Zextar replied. "The Galactic Defense Corps isn't just a military organization, it's a partnership. Human tactical expertise combined with council resources and technology. Each species contributing what they do best. The hegemony won't give up easily," Emma warned. They still have hidden bases and sleeper agents. Let them come, Zextar said confidently. They're fighting the old galaxy, where species stood alone and weak, but that galaxy doesn't exist anymore. Marcus raised his coffee cup. To the new galaxy, then. To cooperation, Sarah added. To friendship, Jake said. To peace through strength, Emma contributed. To never leaving anyone behind, Tom finished. Zexatar raised his own cup. To learning that sometimes the best weapon isn't a weapon at all. Sometimes it's a friend. As they drank their coffee and watched the stars, none of them noticed the small sensor probe that detached itself from their ship and began transmitting data to a distant location. The probe carried detailed scans of the new Council human technologies and tactical formations. In a hidden base on the edge of hegemony space, Admiral Kexamore reviewed the transmitted data with satisfaction. The Council thought they had won by exposing the conspiracy and forming their new defense corps. They thought they had eliminated the hegemony threat. They were wrong. The conspiracy had been real, but it had also been a distraction. While the Council focused on stopping intelligence leaks and raider attacks, the hegemony had been preparing for something much larger. Status report on Project Nexus, Admiral Kexamore ordered. Construction is 73% complete, his aide replied. The weapon will be ready for deployment in 6 months. Admiral Kexamore smiled as he watched the battle reports from Wolf 359. The humans and their Council allies had fought well, but they had also revealed their capabilities and tactics. Information that would be very useful when Project Nexus was complete. Continue monitoring their operations, he ordered. I want to know everything about their new technologies and strategies. Yes, sir. What about the raider attacks? Suspend all operations for now, Admiral Kexamore said. Let them think they've won. Let them grow complacent and confident. And then we show them what real power looks like. Meanwhile, on the Unity, Captain Zextar was reviewing reports from across the galaxy. The new Galactic Defense Corps had been successful beyond everyone's expectations. Pirate attacks were down by 80%. Trade routes were safer than they had been in decades. Member species were contributing resources and personnel to the joint fleets with enthusiasm. Most importantly, humans and non-humans were working, together as true partners for the first time in galactic history. But Zextar had learned not to trust appearances. The hegemony's surrender had been too easy, their retreat too quick. They were planning something. Marcus, he called across the bridge, I need you to prepare a classified report for Admiral Chen. What kind of report? Intelligence assessment, Zextar replied. I think we're missing something important about the hegemony's long-term strategy. Marcus nodded grimly. I've been thinking the same thing. They gave up too easily. Exactly. They're not the type to abandon a plan just because they suffered some setbacks. What do you think they're really planning? Zextar looked out at the stars, remembering the lessons he had learned about underestimating others. I don't know, he admitted, but whatever it is, I'm glad we have humans watching our backs. And we're glad to have partners who trust us to do it, Marcus replied. Outside the ship, space looked peaceful and safe, but both officers knew that somewhere in the darkness, enemies were planning and preparing. The real test of their new alliance was still to come. The humans had been backup crew once, dismissed and underestimated by those they served. Now they were partners and protectors, standing guard over a galaxy that had finally learned the value of cooperation. Whatever came next, they would face it together, and in a galaxy full of dangers and uncertainties, that made all the difference. The three counselors sat in stunned silence. Finally, the Vorthon spoke. Captain, that is a very serious statement. Are you saying that humans have been deliberately deceiving the Council about their capabilities? No, Counselor, Zextar replied. I'm saying we deceived ourselves. We saw what we expected to see. Primitive creatures who needed our guidance. We never bothered to look deeper. Marcus stepped forward again. If I may, counselors, humanity has never hidden our capabilities. Every human ship is registered with the appropriate authorities. Every technology we use is documented and available for study. Every operation we conduct follows interstellar law. But you didn't tell us about the fleets, the Zephyrian counselor accused. You didn't ask, Marcus replied simply. The Council assigns human crews to various missions. How we ensure their safety is our internal policy, just as each of your species has internal policies. The Keltharian counselor leaned back in her chair. What exactly are you saying, human Marcus? I'm saying that Earth takes the protection of its citizens very seriously. When we agree to provide crew for Council missions, we guarantee their safety. Not hope for it, not pray for it, guarantee it. And if that means bringing a fleet of warships? If necessary, yes. Zextar watched this exchange with growing understanding. The humans had never lied about anything. They had simply been underestimated, so badly that no one had asked the right questions. Counselors, Zextar said, there's something else you need to know. The attack on my ship wasn't random. The Shadow Claws knew exactly where to find us and when to strike. Someone gave them our mission parameters. The three counselors looked troubled. What are you suggesting? The Vorthan asked. I'm suggesting there's a leak in the Council's security systems, and I'm suggesting that the humans might be the only ones who can find it. After the communication ended, Zextar found himself alone with Marcus in the human ship's conference room. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls, marked with symbols and data that Zextar didn't understand. How long have you known? Zextar asked. Known what? That someone in the Council is working with pirates and raiders. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. 3 months, he finally admitted. We've been tracking unusual attack patterns on Council missions, always in remote locations, always with perfect timing, always with detailed knowledge of security protocols. Why? Didn't you report it? We tried, Marcus said. The Council dismissed our concerns. They said humans were being paranoid and seeing conspiracies where none existed. Zextar felt another wave of shame. So you decided to handle it yourselves. We decided to be ready, Marcus corrected. Every human crew assigned to a Council mission now has a protection fleet nearby. Every mission is monitored in real time. Every attack is analyzed and the data shared across our network. You're building a case. We're protecting people, Marcus said. The case is just a side effect. Over the next several days, Zextar learned more about human operations than he had ever imagined possible. Their ships were more advanced than most species realized. Their crews were trained not just for their assigned jobs, but for warfare, espionage, diplomacy, and emergency response. Most surprisingly, they seemed to genuinely care about the safety of non-human crews they worked with. I don't understand, Zextar said to Dr. Vasquez during one of his medical checkups. Your species could dominate the galaxy if you wanted to. Why do you choose to serve others instead? Dr. Vasquez smiled. Have you ever heard the human saying, with great power comes great responsibility? No. Humans learned something important. In our early history, she explained, power without responsibility leads to destruction. We had terrible wars, caused by people who thought might made right. And now? Now we know better. We use our strength to protect those who can't protect themselves. We use our knowledge to help others grow. We use our resources to make the galaxy a better place for everyone. Even for species that have treated you badly, Dr. Vasquez nodded. Especially for those species. How else can we show them a better way? Meanwhile, Emma and her team of computer specialists had been working around the clock to trace the source of the intelligence leak. Their investigation led them through layers of encrypted communications and hidden data networks. Found it, Emma announced during a briefing in the ship's tactical center. The leak is coming from inside the Council's central database system. Someone with high-level access, Sarah added, studying the data streams on her screens. They've been selling mission details to various criminal organizations for at least 2 years. Can you identify them? Marcus asked. Working on it, Emma replied. But they're good, very good. Professional-level encryption and routing protocols. How professional? Marcus asked with concern. Government level? Emma said grimly. This isn't just one corrupt official selling information for personal gain. This is organized espionage. The implications hit everyone in the room immediately. If a government was systematically stealing Council intelligence and selling it to criminals, it meant the entire Galactic Council was compromised. Which government? Zextar asked. Still analyzing, Emma replied. But the digital fingerprints are consistent with hegemony technology. The Vaxian hegemony was a powerful empire that had refused to join the Galactic Council, viewing it as weak and inefficient. They had their own territories and their own laws, completely separate from Council space. Why would the hegemony do this? Zextar asked. Destabilization, Sarah replied. Make the Council look incompetent and weak, show that they can't even protect their own mining operations. It's working, Marcus said grimly. How many ships have been lost to pirate attacks in the last 2 years? 47, Sarah replied immediately. All in remote locations, all with minimal or no survivors. Except when human crews were aboard, Emma added. Survival rate jumps to 93% when humans are present. Zextar felt a chill run through his body. You think they're targeting missions without human crews specifically? It makes sense, Marcus said. Human crews come with protection fleets. Non-human crews are vulnerable. But that means they've been systematically murdering Council citizens for political gain, Marcus finished. And it means we need to stop them. The next day, Admiral Chen Wei arrived on the Nightingale. She was Marcus's superior officer and the commander of the human protection fleets. She was also, Zextar learned, Marcus's sister. The situation is worse than we thought, Admiral Chen told the assembled group. Our intelligence networks have detected similar operations in 12 other sectors. The hegemony has been orchestrating attacks on Council shipping for over 3 years. What's their endgame? Zextar asked. Civil war, Admiral Chen replied bluntly. They want the Council to collapse from internal strife. Then they can move in and claim the most valuable systems for themselves. Can we stop them? With the evidence Emma has gathered, we can expose their operations, Admiral Chen said. But that's just the beginning. They have sleeper agents throughout Council space, hidden bases in neutral systems, and a fleet 3 times larger than official estimates. So what do we do? Zextar asked. Admiral Chen smiled, and Zextar saw the same predatory look he had first noticed in Marcus. We do what humans do best, Captain. We adapt, we plan, and we fight back. 3 days later, Zextar woke up in a medical bay he did not recognize. The walls were white and clean, and the air smelled like antiseptic. Soft beeping sounds came from machines around his bed. You're awake, a familiar voice said. Zextar turned his head and saw Marcus sitting in a chair beside his bed. The human looked tired but unhurt. "My crew?" Zextar asked, his voice rough from the medical tubes that had been down his throat. "All alive," Marcus replied. "Lieutenant Morden is in the bed next to you. The others are already up and walking around." Zextar tried to sit up but felt dizzy. "How? The explosion should have killed us all." "Human escape pods," Marcus explained. "We had them installed on your ship 3 days ago before we even left the station." "You planned this?" Marcus shook his head. "We planned for the possibility. Humans always have backup plans, and backup plans for the backup plans." Zextar looked around the medical bay. Through a window, he could see space and the hulls of other ships. "Where are we?" "Human medical vessel Nightingale," Marcus said. "Part of the fleet you saw." "That fleet," Zextar said slowly. "It was following us the whole time, wasn't it?" "Since we left the station," Marcus confirmed. "Standard procedure when humans are assigned to non-human vessels." "Why didn't you tell me?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Would you have believed us? You thought we were useless backup crew, remember?" Zextar felt shame wash over him. He had been so arrogant, so sure that his advanced technology made him superior. He had never considered that the humans might have their own strengths. "The Shadow Claws," he said. "How did you know they would attack?" "We didn't know for sure," Marcus replied. "But Kepler 442b is in disputed space. 3 different species have claimed it in the past 50 years. We studied the history before accepting the mission. And you came prepared for war." "We came prepared for anything," Marcus corrected. "That's what humans do. We study every situation, plan for every possibility, and prepare for the worst." Dr. Elena Vasquez, the human medical officer, entered the room. She was a small woman, with kind eyes and gentle hands. She checked Zextar's vital signs and nodded with satisfaction. "You're healing well," she said. "Alien physiology is fascinating. Your people recover much faster than humans do." "How long was I unconscious?" Zextar asked. 72 hours, Dr. Vasquez replied. "You had severe trauma from the explosion, but nothing permanent." After she left, Zextar turned back to Marcus. "I need to understand something. The Galactic Council assigns human crews as backup. But you're not really backup, are you?" Marcus smiled. "That depends on how you define backup." "Explain." "The Council sees us as expendable extra crew," Marcus said. "Insurance in case something goes wrong. But from our perspective, we're insurance for the mission's success." "You're protectors. We're survivors," Marcus corrected. "And we're very good at helping others survive, too." Zextar thought about this. "How many human fleets are out there following other missions?" "Classified," Marcus said, but his smile suggested the number was large. Over the next few days, as Zextar recovered, he learned more about the humans. He discovered that Sarah wasn't just a communications officer. She was a master strategist who could coordinate dozens of ships in real time. Jake wasn't just an engineer. He was a genius who could understand and improve any technology within hours. Emma wasn't just a computer operator. She was a cyber warfare specialist who could hack any system ever created. Tom wasn't just a general. Helper. He was a weapons expert who could turn anything into a tool of war, and Marcus wasn't just their leader. He was a former Earth military commander who had fought in 17 major conflicts before joining the Galactic Civilian Service. "Why do you serve on alien ships?" Zextar asked Marcus one day as they walked through the Nightingale's corridors. "You could have your own vessels, your own missions." "We do," Marcus replied, "but we also believe in cooperation. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Alone, any species can be destroyed. Together, we can all survive and prosper." They stopped at an observation deck that looked out at the human fleet. The ships hung in space like sleeping giants, their hulls reflecting starlight. "How many species do you protect like this?" Zextar asked. "All of them that will let us," Marcus said. "Humans have a saying, 'No one left behind.' It applies to everyone we consider friends." "And enemies?" Marcus's expression grew serious. "We prefer to make enemies into friends, but if that's not possible..." He gestured toward the debris field, where the Shadow Claw ships had been destroyed. "We're very good at the other option, too." A communication chime sounded. Sarah's voice came over the ship's speakers. "Marcus, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They want to speak with Captain Zextar." Marcus and Zextar made their way to the communication room. The large screen showed 3 council members, a Vorthon, a Keltharian, and a Zephyrian. They looked concerned. "Captain Zextar," the Vorthan counselor said, "we received your mission report. The attack by unknown hostiles was unexpected." "Yes, counselor," Zextar replied. "Without the human backup crew, my ship and all hands would have been lost." The 3 counselors exchanged glances. The Keltharian leaned forward. "Your report mentions a human fleet of 57 ships. How is this possible? Our records show only 5 humans were assigned to your mission." Zextar looked at Marcus, who nodded slightly. "The humans have a policy of protecting their people, counselor. Where human crews serve, human ships follow." "This was not authorized," the Zephyrian counselor said sharply. "Human vessels have no right to operate in Council space without permission." "With respect, counselor," Marcus stepped forward. "We were operating in disputed space that was under attack by hostile forces. Our intervention was necessary to protect Galactic Council citizens and property." "That may be true," the Vorthan counselor said, "but the precedent is concerning. If every species begins deploying unauthorized fleets..." "Every species doesn't have the capability," Marcus interrupted politely. "And most species don't have the inclination to risk their own ships protecting others." Zextar found himself speaking up. "Counselors, I have served the Galactic Mining Consortium for 20 years. I have never seen anything like what these humans accomplished. They turned a damaged mining vessel into an effective warship. They coordinated a fleet action that saved hundreds of lives. They did all of this while asking for nothing in return." "What are you suggesting, Captain?" the Keltharian asked. Zextar took a deep breath. "I'm suggesting that maybe we've been thinking about human backup crews all wrong. Maybe they're not backup at all. Maybe they're the primary defense, and we're the ones being protected." "Do it," Zextar said, his pride finally broken by fear. Marcus nodded once. "Sarah, open a channel to all human vessels in the system." "What human vessels?" Zextar asked, confused. "There are no other ships here." Sarah's fingers danced across her communication panel. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," she said calmly. "This is Marcus Chen, calling any Earth forces in the area. We have a situation." For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to come alive. The stars began to move. What Zextar had thought were distant suns suddenly shifted position. One by one, they revealed themselves to be ships, human ships. They had been there all along, invisible and waiting. dear gods, Lieutenant Mordan whispered. How many are there? 57 vessels responding, Sarah reported like she was reading a grocery list. Destroyer class and above. The Shadow Claw ships, which had been so confident moments before, suddenly found themselves outnumbered 3-1. But they did not retreat. Instead, they opened fire on the newly revealed human fleet. It was a mistake. The human ships moved differently than anything Zextar had ever seen. They did not flow like the Shadow Claws or lumber like Galactic Council vessels. They moved like pack hunters, coordinating their attacks with deadly precision. Jake, I need engine power, Marcus said. Already on it, Jake replied. His hands moved over alien controls like he had been using them his whole life. Somehow he bypassed the damaged systems and brought their engines back online. Emma, can you break their jamming? Child's play, Emma said with a small smile. Her computers connected to the ship's systems in ways that should have been impossible. The jamming that had confused the alien weapons systems disappeared like morning fog. Tom, I need you on weapons coordination. Roger that, Tom said, taking over the weapons console from the stunned alien officer. Zextar watched in amazement as the 5 humans transformed his broken ship into a weapon of war. Systems that had been failing moments before now worked better than when they were new. How are you doing this? He asked Marcus. We study, Marcus replied simply. Every ship we serve on, every system we work with. We learn, we adapt, we prepare on. The main screen, the battle raged in space around them. The Shadowclaw ships were fast and deadly, but the human fleet fought like a single organism. When one ship was attacked, others moved to protect it. When an enemy showed weakness, multiple ships struck at once. Their tactics are incredible, Mordan said, watching the display. It's like they can read each other's minds. They're using quantum communication links, Emma explained without looking up from her screens. Every human ship is connected to every other human ship. They share information faster than thought. A group of 3 Shadowclaw vessels broke away from the main battle and headed straight for their ship. Their weapons charged up, preparing to finish what they had started. Tom? Marcus asked. I see them, Tom replied. His hands moved over the weapons controls with surgical precision. The mining ship's guns had been designed to break apart asteroids, not fight space battles. But in Tom's hands, they became something else entirely. He fired not at the enemy ships, but at the space around them. The plasma bolts hit chunks of debris from the mining operation, superheating them instantly. The debris became shrapnel, expanding in all directions. The Shadowclaw ships flew right into the cloud of molten metal. 2 ships were destroyed immediately. The third managed to survive but lost its weapons and most of its engines. Impossible, Zextar breathed. You turn mining equipment into a weapon. Everything is a weapon if you use it right, Tom said with a shrug. The main battle was turning in the humans' favor. The Shadowclaw ships were being destroyed or disabled one by one. Their superior speed meant nothing when they were surrounded and outgunned. But the enemy had one last surprise. The largest Shadowclaw vessel, which had been hanging back from the fight, suddenly began to glow. Energy readings spiked off the charts. What is that thing doing? Zextar demanded. Sarah listened to her headset for a moment, then looked up with concern. It's charging some kind of superweapon. If it fires, it could destroy half our fleet. Can we stop it? Marcus asked. Not from here, Sarah replied. We'd need to get close, and our ship is too damaged to survive the approach. Marcus was quiet. for a long moment, thinking. Then he turned to Zextar. Captain, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Zextar looked at this human who had already saved his ship and crew. What do you need? I need you to ram that ship. The bridge went silent. Even the human crew looked surprised. Ram it? Zextar repeated. That's suicide. Our ship would be destroyed. Not if we do it right, Marcus said. Jake, can you overload the mining beam projectors? Jake's eyes lit up with understanding. Create a shaped charge effect. Yeah, I can do that. Emma, plot us a course that uses the planet's gravity to build up speed. Already calculating, Emma replied. Sarah, tell the fleet to clear our approach. Vector, transmitted. Tom, I need you to time the mining beam discharge for maximum effect. Understood. Zextar watched the humans coordinate their impossible plan. They were going to turn his mining ship into a giant bullet and fire it at the enemy's superweapon. This is insane, he said. Sometimes insane is what works, Marcus replied. Jake, are we ready? Engines at maximum power, mining beams charging. Emma, course plotted. We'll hit them at 0.7 light speed. Sarah, fleet is clear. They're wishing us luck. Tom, weapons ready. I'll discharge the mining beams just before impact. Marcus turned to Zextar. Captain, your ship, your call. Zextar looked at his crew. They were terrified, but ready to follow his orders. He looked at the humans, who seemed calm and confident, even in the face of certain death. Then he looked at the Shadowclaw superweapon, which was almost ready to fire on the human fleet that had come to save them. Do it, he said. Their ship turned toward the enemy vessel and began to accelerate. The planet's gravity grabbed them and flung them forward like a stone from a sling. The Shadowclaw ship saw them coming and tried to turn its weapons on them, but it was too late. They were moving too fast and coming from an unexpected angle. At the last second, Tom fired every mining beam at once. The concentrated energy beams, designed to cut through solid rock, struck the enemy ship's hull and punched through its armor, like paper. The impact was tremendous. Both ships were destroyed in a ball of fire that lit up the entire star system. But somehow, in the heart of that explosion, 5 escape pods launched toward the human fleet. Captain Zextar looked at the human crew with disgust. They sat in the corner of the ship's main deck, eating their strange food and making loud noises. The Galactic Council had forced him to take these creatures on his mission. He did not want them here. Why do we need these things? Zextar asked his second officer, Lieutenant Mordan. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he watched the humans laugh at something on their small screen. Orders from the Council, sir, Mordan replied. His voice showed he was just as unhappy. They said we need backup crew for the mining operation on Kepler 442b. Backup crew. Zextar said the words like they tasted bad. We have the best technology in the galaxy. Our mining drones can strip a planet in 3 cycles. What could these soft, weak creatures possibly do? The human crew consisted of 5 members. There was Marcus, their leader, a tall man with scars on his face and arms. Sarah handled their communications, always talking into her headset. Jake was their engineer, constantly fixing things that were not even broken. Emma worked with computers, her fingers moving fast across multiple keyboards. Finally, there was Tom, who seemed to do everything else the others needed. Marcus walked over to where the alien officers stood. He was not invited, but he came anyway. This made Zextar's skin change to an angry red color. Captain, Marcus said with a small nod. We're ready to help with whatever you need. Help? Zextar's voice rose higher. You are here because the Council made us bring you. Nothing more. Stay out of our way, and maybe you will survive this mission." Marcus did not get angry. He just smiled and said, "Understood, sir. We'll be ready when you need us." The alien captain turned away. He did not see the look that passed between the human crew members. It was a look that said they knew something he did not. 3 days later, their ship reached Kepler 442b. The planet was rich with quantum crystals, the most valuable resource in known space. These crystals powered faster than light travel and could make any species incredibly wealthy. "Begin mining operations," Zextar ordered. His crew moved to their stations with practiced skill. They had done this hundreds of times before. The mining drones launched from the ship's belly like metal insects. Each drone was the size of a small building and could cut through solid rock like it was water. The planet's surface began to glow as the drones started their work. Everything went perfectly for the first hour. The drones found massive crystal deposits and began extracting them. The ship's storage bays filled with precious cargo. Zextar allowed himself to feel proud. This would be one of their most successful missions ever. Then the alarms started screaming. "Captain!" The navigation officer's voice cracked with fear. "Ship's approaching! Unknown design!" On the main screen, dark vessels appeared from behind the planet's moons. They were long and sharp, like black knives cutting through space. Red. Lights pulsed along their hulls like angry eyes. "How many?" Zextar demanded. 12. No, 15, sir. There are 20 of them now." The unknown ships moved in perfect formation, surrounding Zextar's vessel. They were fast, much faster than anything in the galactic databases. A transmission came through, filled with static and strange sounds. When it cleared, a voice spoke in the common galactic language, but with an accent no one recognized. "Attention. Mining vessel. You are in Shadowclaw territory. Leave now or be destroyed." Zextar had never heard of the Shadowclaws, but he was not worried. His ship was a battle cruiser, designed for both mining and combat. Its shields could stop asteroid impacts, and its weapons could crack moons. "This is Captain Zextar of the Galactic Mining Consortium," he transmitted back. "This planet has been legally claimed under Council Law 4471. You have no authority here." The response came in the form of weapons fire. Red beams of energy struck their shields, making the entire ship shake. The lights flickered and several crew members fell from their stations. "Return fire!" Zextar shouted. Their weapon systems came online, and blue plasma bolts shot toward the enemy ships. But the Shadowclaw vessels moved like liquid mercury, flowing around the attacks without effort. "Sir, our weapons cannot lock on to them," the weapons officer reported. "They're using some kind of jamming technology we've never seen." More enemy. Fire hit their ship. This time, sparks flew from control panels, and the smell of burning electronics filled the air. "Shields at 60%, someone yelled. "Deploy defensive drones," Zextar ordered. Hundreds of small combat drones poured from their ship, forming a protective cloud around them. But the Shadowclaw ships released their own weapons, strange silver spheres that moved through space like living things. The spheres attached themselves to the defensive drones and detonated. In seconds, their entire drone defense was gone. Shields at 30%. Main engines offline. Weapon systems failing. The bridge filled with smoke and panic. Zextar's crew, who had seemed so professional minutes before, now ran around in confusion. Through it all, the 5 humans sat calmly in their corner. They watched the chaos with steady eyes, like they were studying everything that happened. Marcus stood up slowly and walked to the captain's chair. "Permission to help, sir?" "What could you possibly do?" Zextar snapped, but his voice shook with fear. "What we were brought here to do," Marcus replied. "Be your backup." Another massive impact shook the ship. The lights went out for several seconds before emergency power kicked in. "Shields at 15%. One more hit and we're dead." Zextar looked at the human leader. For the first time, he saw something in Marcus's eyes that made him pause. It was not fear or panic like his own crew showed. It was something else. Entirely. It was the look of a predator that had been waiting patiently for its turn to hunt.